Welcome everyone to another anime review. This one's going to be on Rewrite Episode 9. Now, this episode basically gave off a bunch of information that I probably won't be able to cover all in this review. Uh, but we got a lot of information about what's going to possibly happen and will happen in the future episodes of the anime. And I'm excited to discuss them in this this review. But I'm going to talk about let's start off at the beginning. Let's talk about the episode, like how it's progressing and like the plot points. Then we'll get on over to speculation and the other stuff that I like to do. Now this episode was basically Kotaro and Kagari still trying to find out who she is and going through their daily life, and then we get to see that Guardian and Gaia are starting to make their move. Now, Guardian, Gaia, and who we get to find out later, Kotori, are keeping an eye on him with that funny redhead guy who I forgot his name. Even in the visual novel, I forgot his name. I'm sorry, but he's still a cool guy. Now, his comedic attitude was just hilarious when we get to see him, and especially in the very beginning of the episode. I was just dying of laughter. Oh man. And we get to see Gil and Panny, which is, the two little flying creature things from episode 0, which haven't been used at all until, their appearance in the last episode and in the visual novel in certain routes, you want to recall, route or routes. Pretty sure it's routes. They show up in, like, a route or two. I think one. Or it could be two. I could be wrong. But anyways, basically, what we get in this episode is basically a bunch of foreshadowing and a bunch of build up and information drops about what's going to happen in the future. I already said that, but I'm going to reiterate that just to make that emphasis on what this episode is about. Now, if you aren't a stickler for details, if you aren't attentive enough to the episode, or you just like to wander in La La Land for some reason because there's a lack of, not every anime has to have a fight scene or action scenes to be entertaining. Because this episode was definitely entertaining towards me. Now, my friends think otherwise. It was a boring episode. It was a pointless episode. It was a shit episode. Why is this anime still airing? Well, sucks to you. Not every anime is defined by their action scenes, and Rewrite is definitely one of those. Even though he has some pretty cool action scenes, like what we got here. Basically, the blonde guy whose name I'm not going to spoil is basically gets like one-shotted uppercut by Kotaro when he after his dogs get wiped out by Kagari when she went back into her key self-defense ghost mode, and basically he rushed in, and I'm getting the guess that Kotaro knows what's going to happen if he does this. So basically he rushes in with his superhuman speed and with his strength just like one-shots him, and basically that doesn't even knock him out. He just gets back up, and the Chibi Moth knocks him out for like a couple like seconds, and then basically Kotaro takes Kagari and they run away like. And he basically says, the blonde guy, he just basically just says, how is he so fast? But he's also had some pretty interesting comments about, Guardian and Gaia and about superhumans. We all know that Guardian has a bunch of superhumans and Gaia has like a bunch of people who use magic to summon those monsters, or should I say familiars, as they're what they should be called, but they're called monsters. They're referring to them as monsters. Um, Basically saying that Kotaro doesn't look like your average hunter. Like usually they carry weapons with him, but they're usually what I'm going to guess pretty serious. And he didn't expect Kotaro to have that much speed or that much strength. In honesty, from how his first appearance, is saying that he's an interesting one, not like an interesting person, but like an interesting superhuman. Like basically what we can infer from this is that he has encountered and possibly fought against superhumans and possibly killed them. As we get to see that in this episode, that there have been major and minor skirmishes between Guardian and Gaia across the world, and that they've possibly killed like people. And people might be like, how did you infer all of that from just the episode? Well, if you were to going to pay attention to the way of the dialogue and his attitude towards, hunters and zeros, like, I thought you were just a poor hunter, which means that he has obviously encountered and possibly killed them, especially with those giant dogs who were going to kill Kotaro during, I think, episode 7, before he gained his awesome claws. Basically, yeah, if you just use basic comprehension skills and observation skills, that you should, then you're probably going to figure things out instead of being confused and saying this anime shit because you don't have the capacity to think for yourselves, and instead like to be spoon fed everything. As I said before, this anime isn't for people who like being spoon fed or like to think outside the box. I also give a shout out to I think H Brandon. He does a lot. He does some great analysis reviews for Rewrite, and I enjoy his videos. This is a shout out to him. I'm not doing it in particular to any favor, but I enjoy his content. I think you guys should also check him out. He's a cool dude. His videos are also cool. That's about it. Now let's go on with this analysis. So basically, what we're going to have going on is basically the build up. The build up, basically, we get to see Yoshino's interactions with Kotaro, and in that song that played when he said Tennoji. you found another girl to mess with. And then that song, the song that played, basically just told us Yoshino's emotions about how I think he feels about Kotaro, and like he views Kotaro as a playboy, especially with a cult club of him and Kotori. And it's obvious that there's something going on. Basically, when he says, "Oh, Kotori," and Kotaro was like, "Oh, Kotori, called me and saw that she's okay, stuff," and he's like, "I don't care about that, you idiot," which so seems to show that he likes Kotori. Now, I've played the visual novel. I already know his true feelings about her, but this episode basically just sums that, just basically outright hinted at it and confirmed it. Even though instead of in the visual novel directly, his actions basically say it. His actions here, even though it's more subtle, and not as exaggerated as in the visual novel, which I will probably try to do a read through of it, possibly tomorrow or next weekend or whenever I get free time off. And wow, man. We basically get to see a bit more of insights between Gaia and Guardian, basically how Isaka and a bunch of the elite veterans are coming from like Kazamatsuri, and the guys from the car are elite veterans, and more from outside the country are coming into Kazamatsuri for this big showdown to the death, where it's gonna be a major one. And basically Gaia is also shaping up. Now I'm going to go back into Gaia for a little bit more. This and after credits. There's like they didn't really play the ending song in full. They played the ending song over like that other content. But okay, Kotori basically is a druid. Now we know what druids do. They heal stuff. They're in tune with animals. The typical fantasy stuff. And basically, Kotori got her powers from the mistletoe. The mistletoe is a parasitic plant that grew on that huge ass tree. And we get to see a bit more of Kotori's backstory. How that she was caught in a car accident. And basically, she found her way to the mistletoe, climbed up there, and since she was, it was gesture worthy enough, and they grant her a ton of wishes in exchange for her, protecting the key and doing her duty as a druid. And we also get to see a scene with her parents. Now, when the car crashed and landed upside down, we get to see basically them all bleeding and them not moving, and we get to see Kotori's face. Now, this implies that basically the wishes that she got was to bring them back, whether they were seriously injured or were going to die, or they were dead, and she brought them back is probably the most likely case scenario. And basically the wishes that she got, probably live in that nice house and all that, was probably due to that, and she was given that in the extent of wishes to protect the key, which is obviously Kogari. Now we also get to see a bit of backstory between her and Kotaro. Was that when they were at that scene, okay, so basically what happens before this is that Gil and Panny are working for Gaia. Sakuya sent them after to observe Kotaro. Kotaro finds them after they enter his house. He gets stuck in a variety of things, which was hilarious, by the way. He puts them like the little like bug cage where you keep your frogs or whatever, and basically brings them to where Kotori is, which is going to be the downfall of Kotori's secret dimensional space that she created from the druid magic, because they're basically telling Sakuya where they are, and basically Sakuya says, I can get in there. When they said that the gate can only be opened from the inside, because we're going to see what, I've read the visual novel. We're going to see some true Sakuya badassness right now. Sakuya is probably one of the best supporting characters I've ever seen in a visual novel, and I'm not sure the anime is going to do that justice, but he's definitely one of the coolest dudes in a rewrite. Yeah, going back to the backstory between Kotori and Kotaro was that junior high. Kotaro confessed to her, and she said no and ran away. And when the moment he said that we're, and then he stops and he remembers that, and he says best friends, right? And she starts crying, because I'm going to guess that she probably remembers that, and she remembers, and but we'll also get a bit more questions about why Kotaro is having such lapses in these memories. Now we figured out that Shizuru has that ability to produce that could have medicine that could create amnesia and basically erase memories, like what she did with her dad. And her parents. I mean, just her dad. Maybe Gaia has found some way to mass produce that, and basically or possibly has like some sort of like power or medicine that Shizuru's body is also capable of naturally producing, that basically affected him in some way. Basically we see him getting attacked by Kagari and getting his arm like totally like taken out, which we see that then as an observation, that arm of his, when in the first opening song we get to see like the veins come out and he attacks, that same arm is the one that's also producing those blades, that aurora looking thing. And yeah, Basically, there's a bunch of foreshadowing. The opening and the entire anime and episodes have been building up towards it. I guess a lot of anime only readers and visual novel people who like to see everything explained up front, which is how visual novel does it also, but also doesn't, as in the common route. Basically, hinted at a lot of things that you wouldn't get explained unless you went into a certain growth route, and even then, it wouldn't be fully explained unless you go through all five girls routes and then go on to like Moon, and then the next and the greatest finale in the visual novel. I'd probably say Heaven's Feel was pretty good, but I think basically just the build up and like the conception of all the things that whoa excuse me there, sorry for about that, but yeah, basically they also get the ending credits scene with Chihaya and Akane and the little girl who I already know, who's Shimako. I'm pretty sure she said her name. And basically, we get to see a bunch of guy members trying to resurrect this dragon. Now we got to see the Velociraptors in episode 7, I believe, and basically this is going to be a huge T-Rex that they're resurrecting. And basically, what Kotori said in the scene, before this. But it was that monster users use up their own life force to summon and control monsters, and the more monsters they have and the bigger and more powerful they are, the more life force it takes out. So basically, what these guy members are doing are trying to resurrect this huge, powerful ass monster, which is obviously in the form of a T Rex, and they're dropping dead. Like there's like one guy that turns into a skeleton, he just drops dead. Another one takes place and he drops dead, and it's just like a cycle. And Kane basically says, "You're trying to use that thing, aren't you, Kashima Sakura?" And basically says that you're really trying to end the world. Now, basically, right now it seems like Gaias are the bad guys and the Guardians are the good guys. But by selling the visual novel, it's not clean cut. It's basically a gray area, basically on how the methods they do and how they basically accomplish their goals. And that Kagari is obviously the key to all this. Get it? Because she's the key. Because then she's the key. I'm sorry for the lame puns. But anyways, this episode ended on a really good note. Like I was genuinely interested in like all this new information and information I already knew being brought up and being hinted at, and basically like the big major battle between Guardian and Guy that's going to turn the city into a war zone. Now, oh man. Now, regarding this anime only content, we also got. Oh, I forgot to mention the fan service scene with Kagari, and it was interesting to watch. Basically the beginning of it was just like, oh, Kagari's singing about. She walks in, and basically he acts like the girl who's being walked on by the guy. It was just hilarious. I was just like, oh my god. And the censor bars will obviously be removing the Blu-rays. So you guys who are fans of Kagari and Lollies will be like, flat chest girls will be like, yeah, I'm gonna get them Blu-rays. No, we also get another one with her like going on. She has a caffeine addiction. She wants more. She starts acting all weird in public, and maybe say for everyone else on the sidewalk, which is on that pose, they're like, "Oh man, we should call the cops." Now they're taking all their phones out, and basically Kotaro's like, "Stop! Don't do this in public. You're acting weird. You're going to destroy my social standing," which was just hilarious to see. Basically, we would get like the usual like harem like protagonist or something. They get into a situation like that, they would act in like the most generic way. But Kotaro was just his reactions to everything are so unique and so and like not out of place, but like so unique and just funny to see that like he reacts differently from what we could see from usual hentai protagonists. Harem protagonist. Wow, I got my words mixed up here today, folks. Oh man. Uh, and basically, yeah, we basically Kotaro isn't your average harem protagonist, and even then, it's not really a harem. Even though everyone considers it, it isn't really. Main character's too dense, and all the other characters are, especially Chihaya and everyone else, are just probably too oblivious to like be a part of his harem. And except if you want to see that part for Lucia, she's fighting over his attention, because why not? Um, we also got Lucia coming back, just like Shizuru with a meeting of some sort. Like, oh, they're gonna get some canned coffee. Yep, there's Lucia, and man, maybe maybe a bit sad to see Lucia just saying the same thing Shizuru said. Forget all about us. Go back to your life. We're doing surveillance on you. Protect you and stuff, so some crazy stuff don't happen. Go back to your own life. Once we find out that nothing's out of the ordinary, we'll stop your surveillance of you within months or something like that. I was just like. Damn it, Lucy. No. Lucia's best girl for me. I think, in terms of girl, it would have to be her. In terms of route, I would have to keep that as a secret, as I will reveal that if I ever decide to do a read through of the Rewrite visual novel, which I'm sure other people have done, but it's just I'm reading. If you guys would like to see my thoughts on the visual novel as I play through it, which will probably have to be an hour or 2 hour long recording, as I'm seeing other people, like some other people who are recently starting to doing it like 30-minute intervals, which I don't think is long enough, especially with how long the common route is. If you want to get all of that, you would have to cut out parts of the common route. But if I'm going to do like an unadulterated playthrough, play through all the common route, get it to a route, to like a nice stopping point, then like going into all of the girls, and then like skipping to the girl routes and showing like the new parts, the common routes that does show up, common route, whatever, blah 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 blah. Then I'll be happy to show. But right now, this is about the end of this episode, as I see. Um, I'm eagerly excited for the next episode. For episode 10, anime is nearing its end. I wish it had more episodes to get a build up, but I'm sure that basically Aniplex is handling this. So basically, 8-bit. People give them flack a lot for being a terrible studio, but I think they're okay. They're all right. They have good works and have got bad works. It's just like with Studio Dean in the past. They had some good ones and some bad ones. JC Staff as well. They had some bad ones and some good ones. 8-bit is no exception. I just think that this adaptation of Rewrite could have been handled a bit better, but with the time constraints that 8-bit has and all of that, it's just a shame. But they're doing a great job. Basically, I understood everything. Even when there are a bunch of visual novel players bitching about the content, that it's not long enough for their glossing over this. Well, there's a reason. They want you to go play the visual novel. They're not gonna cram in like nearly 40, 50 hours of common route, then probably say 20, 30, hours of common route, and then all the back. So it just wouldn't be cost effective. I mean, the cost of producing all that would like be so out of proportion that you would need probably someone like Donald Trump to like fund it or something, someone rich to fund like the entirety of it, and that's just not possible. I mean, you got to keep realities and expectations in check, but you also have to tune in to like what's possible and what's not. It's not like oh, I want this car, but I really want it, but I don't have the money to get it. So it's just like you're gonna have to settle for something a bit. No, I'm not saying they should take it face on if it's a bad adaptation, but this adaptation isn't bad as anyway. It's not. It's not bad. It's not amazingly good, but it's definitely not terrible. And not worth bashing, like anime only is bashing the visual novel as well, saying how is this the most new visual novel? People lie to me. Well, basically, we didn't lie to you. This adaptation is not as good as it could have been, but it's still a good watch. I mean, I can see why a lot of people get bored. We've been a lot of people have been spoon fed the information, as I said before. Like, up front on the mystery is gone, and we're dealing with basically we're basically seeing it from the perspective of the main of Kotaro. We're learning what he knows, and we don't know what he doesn't know. And that's how the anime is being handled. Now, all the other animes basically all telling them to switch to another perspective to explain it and all that, which is obviously what the anime is doing right now. But they're giving to us in small increments, like in the visual novel, like in small brief increments, because the main perspective is in the end, Kotaro, we're seeing it from his eyes, from his perspective, his thoughts, his feelings, his actions. We're seeing it from his point of view mostly. It wouldn't make sense to transition to another part, even though it would make, clarifying a lot of things better. But that's how the mystery of the visual novel is going and how the anime is handling it as well. Now, I don't know why this review has dragged on to nearly like 20 minutes, but I think it's a good enough time to end about here. Basically, have a nice day, have a nice night, good night, evening, midnight, morning, wherever. Some other things. You guys and gals all have a fantastic day wherever you are. Can't wait for more for the next episode. I don't know when the spring season for anime starts, but once everything starts getting announced and finalized for spring season anime, if spring hasn't started, I think summer is still going on. I'm not too sure about that, but I'm pretty sure summer is still going on. I'll be doing like a video about the usual stuff. I'm looking through Mal or my anime list, which is Mal. I don't know why I did that. I haven't used Mal in so long. Like basically, I had a friend who recommended me to go and update my Mal. So like so I won't. I'll be more legitimate. So basically, just started adding a bunch of anime that I've watched or previous times. Don't ever watch School Days, and that's about it. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. If I missed anything, support the channel. I also like seeing comments from all of you. Like I only get like 1 or 2 comments usually every 5-6 videos. Like, I just got one from my Macross Dutzer. Come on, guys. You guys gotta be more sociable than that. Leave a comment. I'll talk. I'll reply. Well, see you guys and gals on the next review. See ya!